To the Real News Network. I'm Paul Jay, and we are live on Facebook and YouTube and therealnews.com. And now joining us is Larry Wilkerson. Larry was the former chief of staff for U.S. Secretary of State Colin Powell. He's currently an adjunct professor of government at the College of William and Mary and a regular contributor to the Real News. Thanks for joining us again, Larry.
Good to be here, Paul.
Whether this works or not, I don't know. But if you look at Flynn's appearance on RT, and I wish we had the clip, I wasn't ready for this, but when Flynn went to Russia, to Moscow, and appeared on RT television for an extended interview with a bunch of journalists and Russian foreign policy people, and he was asked about the Syria situation, and he essentially said, "We will." This is Flynn, he wasn't yet the national security advisor, but he was clearly going to be, and he was working with the Trump campaign. And he got in trouble for this appearance for, I don't know why, but he got paid for this appearance. But he said, if you'll just figure out a way to ease Assad out, we can work Syria out with you so that you can control, it may not be the exact words, but he essentially says you can control the outcome in Syria, but you're going to have to not save Assad himself. I mean, this is about convergence of interest is what I'm suggesting, not just two individuals making a deal.
No, I don't disagree with that. And here's what I would say, Paul. There's another version to this, that all these conspiratorial talks and everything that are being pitched by the Democrats as such for political gain as much as anything else were in fact something not that much different from what Henry Kissinger and Richard Nixon did with regard to the first European intermediaries and then the Pakistani intermediaries with China. Not at all different from that if we put a more positive spin on it. That, in other words, Trump and his team, such as it was, saw that Russia-U.S. relations were seriously deteriorating, and they wanted to rescue them for whatever reason. Could have been private reason, money, heavy debt, whatever. Doesn't matter. They wanted to rescue them. Geostrategically, that's not a bad proposition. So all they were doing in these initial meetings was what Henry and Dick did. They just weren't in office yet. And they were trying to establish contacts, some of them out of the regular channels because they knew the regular channels were corrupted as hell, which is exactly what Dick and Henry did. They cut the State Department completely out of the rapprochement with China. And I don't see any fault in that if that is indeed what they were trying to do, get a situation going where they could have better relations. Yeah. If they wanted to trade things off, as great powers and others have done since time immemorial, that's fine too. If they want to trade Assad off, that's fine too. Did Putin suddenly decide that he was dealing with idiots and so he decided to violate the deal? Or did he just decide to violate the deal because he likes Assad? Or he found himself on more propitious strategic grounds than he thought he would be and said, oh, I'm not living up to the full part of the bargain. I don't know. But it's always dangerous when you make these kinds of bargains with people who are as slippery, as shrewd, and play chess and not checkers like you, like Putin.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I'm not in any way, I shouldn't say, there is one way I am critiquing this, but anything that lowers tensions between any of the major powers is a good thing in my mind. But,
I agree.
But what I'm getting at is that, and I guess or what I'm asking, in terms of targeting Iran, which I do not think this administration has given up on, far from it, the Saudis, I think, are as aggressive as anything. In fact, a lot of this purge, and I'm not sure enough has been made of this, but the purge of these various princes by the new crown prince in Saudi Arabia, some of that seems to have been princes who were opposed to this very anti-Iranian policy of the crown prince.
Opposed to the split with Qatar, which was, in my view, utterly stupid, strategically inept, breaking up the GCC that way.
So it's all about getting get ready for an even more aggressive stance towards Iran. And what I'm saying is I'm not so sure Russia will mitigate that aggression towards Iran.
I'm not sure Russia will be willing to step into that one because I think that would be propitious for Putin to stand on the sidelines of what's the United States, mainly because of Israel and its commitment to Israel, and to a certain extent Saudi Arabia, gets sucked into it. And that's exactly my expectation, that we are going to, as one headline had it the other day, be the Saudis' proxy. And the Saudis are going to fight Tehran to the last dead American. And the Israelis, of course, will fight Hezbollah to the last dead American. They'll do a little bit better of the fighting, but that's the way it'll be. The Saudis are utterly incompetent at military operations. You're seeing that in Yemen. They drop their bombs from so high altitude because their pilots are scared to death of getting hit by any aircraft fire that the bombs go everywhere: schools, hospitals, churches. It is going to be, if it is going to be an extremely brutal war, and the United States, Iran will respond probably asymmetrically. They will not exchange hardware with Saudi Arabia. They will send the Quds Force, now highly trained and highly capable, into the oil-producing regions of Saudi Arabia, where Shia mostly work, and they will stoke those Shia, and the kingdom and Mohammed bin Salman, this consolidating of power prince, will suddenly have a rebellion on his hands. I mean, this can really get bad. It can go bad really fast.
We're in a very dangerous moment in various places in the world. This just to end this.
And Paul, we're exactly as you just characterized it. And what we have in Washington is a bunch of amateurs with no experience, and I include Rex Tillerson in that. And that is not what you want on your team when you're in this kind of situation.
And a very divided Washington. I'm reading reports. I don't know how credible they are because I'm not so sure of the websites I'm seeing them. But apparently a real split between the Pentagon and sections of the CIA, which apparently don't buy this policy of maintenance of the Assad, or what should I say, accepting Assad is going to stay in power, and that there's sections of the CIA that are continuing to fund and arm anti-Assad Islamic forces in Syria, and that the Pentagon is kind of seriously at odds with these people in the CIA. Have you heard this?
I have, and my question there is always, and has been recently, does the president know about this? Does McMaster know about this? Is this happening beneath their watch, as it did with Ronald Reagan with the Contras and Sandinistas in South America, Honduras and Nicaragua? Ronald Reagan did not know everything that Bill Casey and his minions were doing, including Bob Gates. There were things going on beneath the president's watch, if you will. And who cares what the reason was, dotage or inattention or whatever. That happens from time to time with the CIA. And when you get these internecine bureaucratic battles beneath it, it gets even worse. I wouldn't be surprised at all, because I have seen it before in the historical record, in the archives, in testimony. It's there.
Maybe we should welcome it. If everyone in the state and the deep state and the Pentagon and CIA were all monolithic in their view of what to do next, we might be a lot closer to an attack on Iran and Iraq. Maybe this is a good thing. They can't execute much of anything right now.
You've got a point. You've got a point. I've often said, and from time to time, Colin Powell and I would joke about that the best thing going for us was incompetence.
Yeah, I think I've been saying that. Welcome the circus and chaos of the Trump show, because the alternative is worse.